Several months ago, I walked into Closers.io with a blank slate and a bold promise to build a new outbound division from absolute zero. No existing clients, no proven systems, and no team. Today, we're at 7-figure run rate with an aggressive path to 8 figures. And here's the surprising part. I started by doing something most executives with my background would never do. I got back on the phones and started selling. In this video, I'll break down exactly how we did it, the vision, the strategy, the talent, and the systems, so you can apply these principles to your own sales organization. I'm Alleyne, Chief Revenue Officer at Closers.io, and for those who don't know me, I've spent the last 13 years in sales, working my way from selling photocopiers to driving revenue at Amazon Web Services, Twilio, and most recently as Area Vice President of Sales at Braze, a $400 million marketing automation company where I managed a team of over 20 people with an 8-figure quota. But this story isn't about my past. It's about what happened when I stepped into my role at Closers.io with a mission to build something from nothing. What I'm about to share isn't just theory, it's not what should work, it's what did work. The exact playbook that took us from 0 to 7 figures in just 4 months. And unlike most revenue leaders who talk about what their team did, I was in the trenches making it happen myself. And this is what makes this story so compelling. So let's dive in. The first mistake most revenue leaders make when building a new sales function is rushing straight to execution. They hire salespeople, create some basic messaging, and then just expect results. Then they're shocked when it doesn't actually work. Here's the reality. Execution without vision is just busy work. When Cole Gordon, our CEO, tapped me to build this division, I didn't start by hiring or selling. I started by creating a comprehensive business plan that mapped out our journey from $0 to $100 million. This wasn't just some vague mission statement. It was a detailed operational blueprint that included headcount plans for each growth stage, detailed P&L projections, customer acquisition costs, potential risks and mitigation strategies, revenue milestones from $1 million to $6 million, even to $24 to $50 and $100 million. I literally had my chessboard planned 15 moves ahead. Most leaders only plan the next quarter or year. That's playing checkers and not chess. When I presented this to Cole, he didn't just see a plan for a new division, he saw a clear path to scaling the entire business, complete with the exact investments needed at each stage. So before you hire a single salesperson or make a single call, ask yourself, do you have a documented strategy that specifically maps out how you'll be able to get from where you are to where you want to be? And not just the end goal, but every major milestone along the way, because without this foundation, you're building on sand. With the plan approved, most executives in my position would immediately start hiring a team. After all, I'd just come from being Area Vice President of Sales at Braze, managing over 20 people with an 8-figure quota. But I did something very different. I picked up the phone and started selling myself. This wasn't about ego or proving I could still do it. It was about validation for myself and also for the team. See, no matter how brilliant your strategy looks on paper, you need to validate the basic assumptions. Is there market demand? Does our messaging resonate? Is our offer compelling? And is our pricing model actually viable? Can we actually close deals in the time frame that we've projected? You can't outsource these foundational questions to your first hires. You need to know the answers yourself. So I spent the first few weeks doing it all. Prospecting, cold calling, running discovery calls, and closing deals. I didn't delegate until I'd proven the model actually worked. This did 2 critical things. First, it confirmed our fundamental business assumptions. We could actually generate demand and close deals in this new division. Secondly, it gave me first-hand experience of exactly what I would be asking my team to do. I knew the objections, I knew the pain points, and the messaging that worked because I'd experienced it myself. How many revenue leaders today actually know how, from recent personal experiences, what it's like to do the job they're asking others to do? When you validate the model yourself, you don't just build a business, you build credibility within the team that you'll eventually lead. Now, with the model validated, it was time to make our first hire. And this is where most revenue leaders make a critical mistake. They hire based solely on experience or background rather than understanding the specific stage of the business. I had a very specific profile in mind for our first salespeople. The first person I brought on was Laura Skinner. who had worked with me previously. This wasn't just nepotism, there was strategic thinking behind it. When you're building something from zero, you need 3 critical qualities in your first hires. Firstly, there's trust. Can they execute without constant oversight? The next part is work ethic. Will they put in the effort required at this stage of our growth? And the third is a growth mindset. Can they adapt as this role evolves? Laura checked all of these boxes and more. She came from an athletic family with her brother being one of the top rugby players in the world, and she brought that same competitive mindset to her work. I'm delighted to say Laura's still with us today, and she's continuing to grow and thrive in her role every single day. Another early hire was Elliot Bowl, who had also worked with me before. Both Laura and Elliot shared a crucial quality. They thrived in build stage environments. This highlights one of the biggest mistakes I see executives make when building new functions. They hire enterprise talent for startup challenges. Let me be extremely clear about this. Someone who excelled at Microsoft or Salesforce is not automatically going to succeed in a 0 to 1 environment. Building net new revenue streams requires a completely different skill set and mindset than managing established business units. So when hiring for your early team, look out for comfort with ambiguity and changing priorities. You also want to look out for track record in early stage environments, self-direction and resourcefulness. You also want to look out for a hunger to build something meaningful with a willingness to wear multiple hats. The wrong hire at this stage doesn't just underperform, they can fundamentally derail the entire function. We learned this lesson the hard way when we made a bad hire that temporarily slowed down our momentum. They had industry knowledge but lacked the drive and adaptability needed to thrive in our environment. We paid the price for that mistake with a dip in performance until we corrected course. Continue to raise your hiring bar with every single growth stage. What got you here won't necessarily get you to your next phase of growth. After our first few months of meteoric growth, we hit a plateau. Our revenue flatlined, and we had to figure out why. The diagnosis quickly became clear. We ended up outgrowing our initial operating model. This is perfectly normal in high growth environments. What works from $0 to $1 million in revenue won't necessarily scale for your next phase of growth. We realized we needed to implement robust systems and measurement frameworks to scale effectively. As I learned early in my career, what you don't measure, you can't manage. We started by establishing clear KPIs at every level, including activity metrics to track calls, emails, and meetings sent, also pipeline metrics to track conversion rates, deal velocity, and average deal size, along with revenue metrics such as bookings, cash collected, and retention. But metrics alone aren't enough. You need integrity in your data collection and consistent processes for reviewing and acting on that data. So we implemented strict standards for data entry and data hygiene, daily sales meetings to review performance metrics, weekly forecast meetings to identify bottlenecks, and monthly strategy sessions to adapt our approach based on data. Think about your revenue function as a manufacturing system. You need to know exactly what's happening at each stage of the process to optimize the entire production line. This focus on systems and measurement allowed us to quickly identify when something wasn't working and make rapid adjustments. For example, when we noticed our offer to close conversion rate was dropping, we could pinpoint exactly where in the process the breakdown was occurring and develop targeted training to address it. Too many leaders look at performance in a linear way, simply stating we're not hitting our number, without the data to actually diagnose why. By creating a culture obsessed with measurement and continuous improvement, we were able to break through our plateau and continue our growth trajectory. Remember, hope is not a strategy, but data is. As we continue to scale, I faced an important decision. With my background in strategy and leadership, should I continue managing the day-to-day sales operations, or should I focus on higher level growth initiatives? This is where ego can become a major obstacle for many leaders. They hold on to direct control because they enjoy the power and don't trust others to execute on their vision. But I view business as playing chess. The question isn't just about what move is best today, but what sequence of moves sets you up for success 5 moves ahead. With no ego between Cole and myself, we agreed to transition one of our sales leaders into a dedicated outbound sales director role to run the day-to-day, while I stepped into the chief revenue officer role, focusing on strategic growth and innovation, especially on the demand generation side of the business. Between Cole and I, we could equally see that Cole is truly best in class as a visionary CEO and a leading sales expert within the high-ticket space, while I'm a true corporate operator at the highest level, able to convert a vision into realized revenue to move the business forward. The underpinning principle here is to simply have the right people in the right positions at the right time. As a leader, your job isn't to do everything. It's to create the conditions for overall success. Sometimes that means stepping back from the direct management to focus on the bigger picture. This shift has allowed us to simultaneously execute on today's targets while building for tomorrow's growth. Think about it this way. If you're playing both the roles of captain and coach, you're probably not doing either one particularly well. The best leaders understand when to be on the field and when to step to the sidelines. They know their highest and best use at each phase of growth, and they're willing to evolve their role accordingly. And it's this very discipline and awareness that has been crucial to our continued acceleration. Throughout this journey, one principle has consistently separated us from other revenue-based organizations. We just think bigger. From day one, we weren't building a function to hit $1 million. We were building an $100 million business that happened to be starting at zero. This difference in mindset affects everything, from how you hire to how you structure your processes to how you prioritize your time. When you're building for $100 million, you make very different decisions than when you're building for $1 million. For instance, you invest in scalable systems earlier than most would deem necessary. You hire people who can grow with the organization, not just fill today's need. You create processes that might feel like overkill now, but will prevent chaos later. And you focus on building assets, IP, training systems, data infrastructure that will appreciate over time. But this doesn't mean moving slowly or getting lost in planning. We operate with what I call urgent patience. Urgent in our daily actions, but patient with our results. Every day we move with intensity and purpose, but we don't panic if we don't see immediate results from every initiative. Some seeds take longer to grow than others. This balanced approach has allowed us to maintain consistent momentum while building for the long term, and the results speak for themselves. In just 4 months, we've gone from $0 to 7-figure run rate with a clear path to 8 and even 9 figures. So there you have it, the exact framework we use to build a 7-figure outbound revenue function in just 4 months. And if I was starting again and advising you to do the same, I would recommend that you start with a detailed vision and strategy, then validate your model through direct action. The next step would be to hire for the specific stage of your business, then implement rigorous systems and measurement frameworks, then position the right leaders at the right time, and then overall to think bigger than your current constraints. What's exciting is that this is just the beginning for us, and we're now doubling our headcount and accelerating our growth even further. Building and scaling through an outbound function is the future because it allows us to control our destiny rather than solely being at the mercy of inbound lead flow or platform algorithms. If any part of this resonates with you, whether you're looking to build your own outbound revenue function or to join a high growth team that's doing things differently, then I want to hear from you. We're constantly hiring across multiple roles, and I'm always looking to connect with elite sales talent who think about their career the way Olympic athletes think about their sport. If that sounds like you, send me a direct message on LinkedIn explaining why you'd be a great fit to join our team. Remember, the difference between good and great in sales isn't just tactics, it's mindset, systems, and leadership. Thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe if you've gained something from this video, and I'll see you on the next one.